Okay, thank you very much for joining again. Good morning, good day, good evening. I will start. We will start working today with lesson 10. We worked on step 10.1 yesterday. We were able to allocate goods, basically to reserve the stock for our order. I'm going to start working on page 112 from the training guide. Okay, so if you are ready, let's start. Let's open the application. And let's begin with the change of the date. We are now working on period 12 of 2016. Okay, once we got that, we start with our example that we need to sell a 12-inch laptop to our regular customer, and he bought this laptop with credit, so there is no need to ship. We just need to invoice and take it out of the warehouse for him. Okay, so the first step that we are going to do is to open distribution, sales orders screen. The order type that we are going to use, since we are not, or we don't need to create a shipment for this, we will select the invoice order type for the 2nd of December, and it's going to be requested again, on the 2nd of December, our regular customer, and we are going to set the description. This is a sale from our North store. We select the item, and we are going to select the warehouse. Remember the warning that we got until we selected the warehouse. We are going to sell one item, remember, and this is going to be at 1400. Okay, so now we have to allocate the serial number that we need to sell. So when we add a new line, the system will automatically populate the inventory ID, the warehouse. We can select a location, and we just need to select the serial number that we are going to sell or allocate. We click OK, and we can continue. We save the order, and now let's check what happened on our inventory. Let me set this down so it doesn't show up. Okay, so let's take a look at the allocation details screen, and we can see that since we are using an order type IN, automatically the allocation type is shipped. It is not allocated, it's actually shipped. Okay, so we cannot use it on another order. Go back to the sales order and click Actions, Prepare Invoice. And once we release this invoice, the system will create the inventory issue that will take out our laptop out of our warehouse, and it will create the correspondent GL transaction for the customer and the income and the sales accounts. Okay, so this is basically the example. Remember, once the invoice is released, we cannot change. If we need to do something about this, we just need to create either a credit memo type or a RMA type of a sales order to return and to cancel this transaction. Okay, so good from there, and we will move on to the next example in step 10.3, page 114. Let's create now our customer bought a 12-inch laptop and a mouse at our northern store, and they asked to ship these items to a specific address. But there is a catch here. We already sold everything on our northern store, so we need to allocate the items from another warehouse. We have available items on our distribution center. So this is going to be a sale including shipment and including a transfer. So let's work on that. We are working on the northern store. We are going to create the sales order. Order type SO. And this is for December 3rd. Oops. December 3rd. We are going to sell it to our super customer regular. And we will include the description and the laptop. Laptop 12 from the warehouse north, which we don't have. We will check on that in a minute. At 1400. And also we are going to sell a mouse from our same store. This is going to be 1 and the price is 15. Okay, so as an additional comment, we see that the shipping rule is set to ship complete. So this means that we won't be able to ship the order until all the items are ready to be on the invoice. We cannot sell or send to our customer half an order or just items first and then the other. So this ship has to be complete. Okay, take it off the hold and save. Okay, so basically we don't have enough quantity. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we don't have available for this item on the warehouse north and of course on the location. So what we will do is to allocate from another warehouse. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is to check the allocate, and the allocation warehouse is going to be center. You can see we have available and on hand 3 items on the distribution center. So all we have to do is to allocate, and at this step we will not select a specific serial number at this point. We click OK, And now we are going to allocate the mouse. Uh, Okay, so we allocate and we change the quantity and to 15. Oh, sorry, I did this first. Okay, let's try that again. So we can use the same steps as the guide. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to change the quantity, and when you select the allocated, it will create 8 for the first line, because as you can see here we have available 8, or we have on hand 8 items on our warehouse. So it will leave the rest on the second line, which we will leave it like that by now. Okay, the quantity is updated from the allocations screen. The quantity was updated to our sales order. Now we want to change that to 1 again, and we open the allocation and it was updated. Okay, so basically what we are trying to show is that in case you need more or different items, you can use the allocation screen and the system will check out the on hand and the available at this level, and when you change the quantity, it will automatically update the second line with the difference. And of course, these changes will update the sales order line. Okay, so now we save again, and we have um, our sales order ready. Just let's take a look at what we have just did. We need to verify that we allocated from our distribution center to fulfill an order created on our north warehouse or on branch. So now we will have to create a transfer order for this. Okay, so let's take a pause here. Let's go back to our presentation, and we are going to see on lesson 11 how to process a transfer order from one warehouse to another, and how to process a transfer order with landed cost recognized on the receipt. So this is our objective on lesson 11, that is starting on page 116. Okay, so the transfer orders are used, for example, on this case, when we don't have enough quantity on our store and we need to allocate and transfer available quantity on another warehouse or branch. So this is very useful. The system will create a new order called with the TR type, and we can either just receive that order without adding any kind of additional cost, like or a landed cost or a shipping cost or something involved or added on the delivery. So we have the two options. We can do it just like that, or we can add some cost to the items. Okay. On page 118, I don't think I included that. Oh no, I didn't, because it's a little bit big. We have a diagram, a graphic. Let me show you. That explains a little bit more of the process of how the transfer order is works, and all the steps related to this transfer order, since the creation of the original sales order, and then the process to create the transfer order, to receive the transfer order, and that will be allocating the automatically our original sales order, and from there we can go and create a shipment, and of course we have to receive that transfer, and once we receive the transfer, the items will be allocated to our sales order, and we will be able to ship to our customer. So in a few words, that is how this process works, and we will do it in just a minute. Okay, so let's go back here, and let me go back to the application. Let's follow the steps over here. And let's go back to our sales order, which is here. We already have the excuse me. We already have uh, the items allocated from the other warehouse, which is here. So there are two ways to create the transfer order. One, which is the one that we are going to do, is to create the transfer order from the actions button, and the other one is just to go and open the create transfer order screen and do it from there. So on this case, we are going to use the shortcut actions create transfer order. This opens the create transfer order screen, and as you can see, we have our order listed on this screen. All we need to do is to create the order, update the date, and process all. Once we click that, the system will create a transfer order type for us, which includes the items that we set on the sales order, which is one, the warehouse, the source warehouse, and the destination warehouse. Okay. Keep in mind that if you are trying to create more than one transfer order from the screen, the system will not open the sales order. If it's just one, then you will be able to automatically see the sales order created. Okay, let's change the date to the 3rd, and we can process. We can start working on this process order. Okay, 3rd, we are going to. Okay, so we created the shipment, and basically the shipment will tell us which item we are going to transfer from one warehouse to another, which we can see here. And on this case, now we need to specify which laptop we want to send. So we can do here on the allocations button, we can select any of the available serial numbers that we have, or we can skip this and go directly to this field, and we can do it from here. So it's depending on what you need. You can go directly if it's just something simple like this example, just one item, you just can go here and select it. Or if there's something or more items, you can use the allocations button to do that. Okay, so we selected the serial number, we save, and now all we have to do is to confirm the shipment. So this means that we are going to send the items from one warehouse to another. In order to receive it, this is a common also issue. In order to receive these items on our north store, it's important to remember to update inventory. So this is, now that we did that, the inventory issue document is created, which is the transfer. We can open it here if you want. And all we are doing now is to create a transfer on a two-step transfer on our inventory module. Let me close this. Okay, so this is important because if we don't update inventory, there will be no items to receive. So please remember every time that you create an order transfer to update inventory in order to be able to receive the items that you are trying to transfer on the destination warehouse. Okay. Another thing that we can check is that on the sales order, let's open the sales order. Let's go to the last record. And if you see now on the allocations button, there is a document related on our transfer allocation. So you can see here how the system updated this line, this allocation with this document. Okay. Now the items are on their way, and the next step is to receive the items on our warehouse. Just want to show you how this allocation still is set to our distribution center. You will see the difference in a minute. So the next step is to go to purchase orders module, open the purchase receipts screen, and select transfer receipt. Set the date and to which warehouse are we going to receive to. So this is another thing that is it's a common thing to report, is that when you create, some people when are creating or working with transfers, they think that in order to receive it, you have to go to transfers screen on inventory module. That is not correct. You will not find this transfer here. You have to go through purchase order, purchase receipt, and select transfer receipt type for the correct warehouse, And now you will be able to find our pending transfer. So all we have to do is select it, add and close, and we have our transfer ready to be received. Okay. And we can see this is coming from the transfer order number 3, and this is going to fulfill the shipment number 2, which we can easily open from this screen. Okay, I'm going to close this. Let me show you this as well. And everything looks good. Now, on this case, we are going to add a landed cost. The transfer from our distribution center and to our northern store cost $20 charge of or cost, additional cost for that transfer. So we can add some landed cost to this transfer. Just have to select the delivery landed cost code which we created on our purchase order lesson, and we set the amount included. Okay, we can save it, and these items, when you are on hold status, this allocation will be changed to receipts. So we can save and we release. Okay, on this screen we can use the view IN document to confirm the receipt created, which is basically we are receiving at the warehouse north store our laptop. We can also check on the landed cost adjustment created because of this additional $20 cost because of the transfer. And we can also take a look at the bill that was created for the vendor that transferred or helped us transfer the items from one warehouse to another. We have all the information here on this screen. It can be easily checked on that. We have the adjustment, we have the bill, and we can just use these buttons to open those. Okay, so the other thing that we want to check is how the cost affected our items. So for that, let's use the we are going to use the lot serial numbers report for warehouse north. Now we have it there. And for the inventory ID laptop 12. So we run the report and we see that it was as 2014, and now plus the additional 20 of the delivery, now is going to be 1260. Okay, and now let's go back to our sales order. Let's continue the process. Let's select the last one, and here you can see the difference that now the allocated allocation warehouse is north, which is what we wanted. It changed automatically, and the related document is a transfer receipt. So once the receipt is processed and released, the allocation is going to update our sales order. So we click OK, we just verify that. And now, since we have everything ready, we can see and we can confirm on the first line, we have one item on hand, one available for shipping, and it is allocated to our sales order. We have 8 mice on hand and available, and we just allocated one item for this sales order. So we can just continue and create our shipment. Let's change the date to the 5th. The shipment is created, and all we have to do now is to confirm the shipment. Once the shipment is confirmed, you can see how the serial number that we selected on the shipment of the transfer is updated on our sales order. We didn't have to do anything there, and now we can just continue and to prepare our invoice. Once the invoice is created, we have everything ready, and we can just go ahead and release the invoice for our customer. Okay, from here we can just confirm that everything is linked properly. We have our shipment. It is completed. We have our sales order, which is also completed. Okay, so this is it. Let's continue with a poll question. So I will launch it now, and I will give you a couple of minutes to answer. Okay, thank you very much. I will close the question now. And so to confirm, the question is select the correct statement or statements about the on-hand quantity of stock items. The correct answers are: these are book quantity of items in inventory, the expired quantity of the inventory item, and the quantity is not calculated. These are the three options that are correct. The one that is not correct is quantity is calculated. This on-hand quantity is not calculated. Okay, thank you very much. And now we can continue with our lesson 12. Let's take a look where we're going to learn. We are going to create a sales order that requires a purchase to inventory. We are going to create a purchase order for the sales demand, and we are going to fulfill one sales order upon the purchase receipt. Okay, so let's start with page 126. And on page 127, you can see how this is, what are we going to do. So basically, the idea of the purchases to sales order is to help our warehouse or get inventory items to our warehouse in order to uh, fulfill necessary items for our sales orders. So if we don't have anywhere on any of our existing warehouses, we can just create a sales order and market for PO, and that will help us to create a purchase order to fulfill this specific sales order. This purchase order can be linked, and it will, once we process the release of the items for this purchase order, it will update our sales order, and then we will be able to continue with the process of the sales order to sell. Okay? This is basically the idea. On page 128, you can see the diagram that kind of explains, or the graphic that kind of explains the process that I just mentioned. We place the sales order, we mark it for PO, we create the purchase order, we process the purchase order, and then once we process the purchase receipt, the inventory will be available on our warehouse, and the sales order will be able to create and process the shipment in order to deliver the items to our customer and then invoice for those items. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, this is important information. Also, it is possible you can create the purchase order from the sales order, but in case you already have a purchase order for these items, you can link this existing purchase order to a new sales order. So if there is no need to create an additional purchase order, you can just link it, and once you receive the purchase order, it will update the sales order as well, like if it was created from the sales order. Here you can see the process to link lines to a sales order. So it's important to specify which line of the purchase order is linked to the specific line of the sales order. It's a one-to-one relation between those. So we create a purchase order no sales order related, we create a sales order, we mark the line for PO, and then we link the line to an existing purchase order. Once we do that, we process the purchase order, and then when we release the purchase receipt, the sales order that will manually linked, it will be available to process the correspondent shipment. Okay, so with that said, we can continue to the next steps. On page 130, you have the different formulas used to calculate the available quantity in order to be able to link a specific purchase order. Let me show you that also. So basically what we are saying is that if we link, or we can link a sales order to the purchase order if the quantity of the sales order line is less than or equal to the available for linking quantity of the purchase order line. Okay, so in other words, the available quantity to be linked to an order would be the order quantity less the link quantity less the received unallocated quantity less the allocated quantity. In other words, we need to have a purchase order that has an available line to select for our sales order. So for example, if we have a purchase order that is already there, and on the purchase order we don't have any line that can be linked to our sales order, you won't be able to link and process this purchase order to our sales order. You need to find a line that it actually has enough quantity to be linked or to link to our sales order. So it's kind of makes sense. It is not possible to link to a line that is already received and allocated to another sales order, for example, or to another warehouse. So we have to check on that when we're trying to link to a purchase order. Okay, so here are some examples and formulas that the system uses. So this is a very, very useful information when you are trying to work on the sales order. This is how the system works. This is how the system calculates. And if you get some kind of an error, or you are not able to um, use an existing purchase order or something like that, this is the reason. You can find the reason here. So please keep this in mind when you are working trying to link sales order to purchase orders. These are some examples and how the formulas above are used, and how we can either link, or how many we can actually link from those purchase orders. I hope this is not that complicated. If you create an example and you try with all these formulas, you will see it firsthand. We will do something like that with just one, but it would be a good idea to try locally on your demo instances to see how this actually works. It's not that complicated. It's just a formula, and this is how it is resolved, how it is calculated, and the result that you will be having for availability for linking. Okay, hope that didn't confuse you more. Okay, let's go with page 132 and let's create a purchase order for our sales orders. So in order to do that, the first thing that we have to do is to enable the feature that allows me to work on purchase orders from sales orders. So we go to the enable disable features screen. We are going to find, first let's modify, and we are going to find the Where is it? I've got it. Here you are. Sales order to purchase order link. Enable. And that updated my instance. And now we are going to be able to go to the distribution, sales orders screen, and let's start creating a new sales order for our regular customer on the 6th. We are going to request it for the 7th, and we are going to sell a 12-inch laptop and accessories for our customer. So we are going to sell it from our north store. This is the laptop. We are going to sell it from our north warehouse at $1,400. And also we are going to include a leather case from our north warehouse with one at 120. Okay. We are taking out the hold, and as you can see, we don't have enough laptops to fulfill this order. So this is the usual warning that we are getting every time that we select the item for this warehouse. So what we are going to do now is to scroll to the right, find the mark for PO column, and it automatically updated the PO source, which is purchase to order. Okay. On this case, there is well, we don't see it now, but also we can oh God, what is going on? We can select another type to purchase order, which is dropship. The dropship is used when you want to deliver directly to our customer regular code from vendor's warehouse. So on this case, the purchase to order, we are going to ask our vendor to deliver the items for this sales order to our warehouse. If we do want to ask the vendor to deliver the items directly to our customer, we can do that selecting the dropship order on this case, on this field. We don't have it enabled, so that's why we cannot see it, but there is another option that we can use depending if the customer wants to fulfill automatically from the vendor's warehouse to the customer's warehouse. Okay, that's additional information. So let's save our sales order. Okay, so I want you to take a look at the allocation details for this item. Let's see how it is marked. That is sales order to purchase. Okay, and also we have it here, and we have the relation or the related sales order over here. Okay, so we close that and we go back to our sales order. And the next step, same as the create transfers order, we can either select actions button and then create purchase order or we can go directly to purchase orders and create purchase orders screen. Either way will work. Either way will show the sales order that we are working with. So let's go and use the actions button, create purchase order. And you will see that our sales order is listed here. Well, basically not the sales order item. And all we have to do is to set a vendor for this. It automatically updated the vendor name. It automatically selected it. And we are going to change the creation date for the 6th. So if we all are good on this step, we can go ahead and process. Similar to the order type transfer, when we selected just one, the system will automatically open the purchase orders screen, so we can go from there. So on this case, we have our purchase order created. Let me see. And also we have to verify that the item is marked as goods for sales order. This is showing that this item for this purchase order, it's something that is coming from a sales order. So in order to know or to verify the sales order that is related to the purchase order, we can just click on View SO Demand, and we can see that the order number is listed and linked. And from here, we can just open the sales order. Okay. We close this one. We close this one. And all we have to do is to take it off the hold. And let me show you something first. Let's go back to our sales order and let me show you how this is allocated. You see, on the sales order, we can see that the item is allocated to a warehouse north and it is marked for PO, and there is a related document which is our purchase order. So this is how everything is linked, and this is how you can see the information or the related documents between the sales order or the purchase order. So this is very useful when you are trying to see what's going on with a purchase order. We close the sales order, we close this dialog, and let's go ahead and create our PO receipt. Okay, we're here. And we have to update the date, which is 12/7, and we have to set our serial number, which here it is, as a new one, because the item needs to update the serial number when it is received into the warehouse. Okay, so we take it off the hold And what are we doing wrong? Oh, come on. Let me do that again. There you go. You have the item here. Was Sorry about that. It did not update, but now we can. And we check on the home, and now we want to check on the reports allocated and back order. This is another useful report to see how this item is linked to which order number. Okay, and now let's go back. Let's close this. And we have our purchase receipt ready, and all we need to do is to release. Okay, so now we go back to our original sales order. Let's take a look at what happened. We have our 12-inch laptop, and we do have now one item on hand. We do have one available, and it is actually allocated. And we can see that it is allocated with the new serial number that we assigned from the receipt, and is linked to our receipt. So all we have to do now is continue with the process of the sales order. Okay, we verify that, and we also can take a look at the PO link, which is basically the items that we received from the purchase order. Here also you can see the dropship orders that I was talking about a minute ago, and also you can see this warning that this is already received and is assigned to the sales order, and it cannot be deselected. Okay, let's cancel it, and we check on the allocations, and now we can just go ahead and create the shipment. We have to change the date to the 7th. We click OK, and now we have a shipment that will be sent to our customer for our laptop and our mouse. And all you have to do now is to confirm and invoice. Okay, once we get the invoice ready, all we have to do now is to release. And everything is good. It's done. We created a sales order. We marked it as PO. We created the purchase order. We created the receipt. It updated the sales order. And now we were able to create the shipment and invoice our sales order that was created for items that we didn't have on our warehouse. Okay, so that closes the process. On page 136, we are going to link line of a sales order to a purchase order. So the example that we were going to work is that on December 11, our customer ordered 5 laptop batteries in our store where we don't have enough, and we are going to order those from the distribution center. Then we discovered that the 10 laptop batteries have been already ordered to the distribution center, and we want to take 5 of them to fulfill our sales order. Okay, so on the next day we will receive those batteries on the distribution center, and 5 of them will be transferred to our northern store in order to complete our sales order. So this is going to be an interesting example using different kind of documents. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is to create a purchase order. This example, so we go to purchase order, add a new record for the 10. And we are going to buy 10 batteries for to our vendor, Acme. And they are going to forgot to change to distribution center branch. Sorry about that. Let's update that. Now we are working on the distribution center for the 10 and for our vendor. And we select the battery and the warehouse center, and we are going to request 10 of those, and we just have to do that. We save the purchase order, and that will be it. Okay, so now let's create a sales order. Sales order, and the sales order is going to be created from our northern store. So we change our default branch and we start creating our sales order for our regular customer, and the 11, and it will be requested for the 13. So 12, 13. And these are the batteries that are sold from our northern store. So we have the battery for our warehouse north, and we are going to sell 5 at 75. So as you can see, we don't have enough. We just have 2, and we just have 2 available. So what are we going to do now is to mark this line for PO. Okay, and we save. Now the next step will be to link this line. Okay, so as you can see, we don't have purchase orders for the warehouse, but we have one purchase order that is going to fulfill our distribution center. So all we have to do is to select, and remember, when you link a sales order to a purchase order, verify that actually we have enough available quantity on the purchase order to link based on the formulas that I showed you previously. Save. Okay. And save the sales order. Now we linked our sales order to our purchase order, and we can take a look on how that worked for us. Automatically, the items were allocated to our warehouse, and there is a related document that needs to be completely processed in order for us to continue with the sales order as our previous example. Okay, and now all we need to do is to complete the purchase order process. So I think we have to let's leave it hold. Okay, so let's go to purchase orders screen. This is our purchase order, and we're going to create a PO receipt, and on this PO receipt we're going to change the date to 12, and hopefully everything is okay. And let's take it off the hold, save and release. Okay, so now we have the purchase receipt released. The items are already linked to our sales order. So now we can go back to our sales orders screen and verify. Here you are. You can just check on the PO link. Okay, this is receipt. Let's cancel that. Check on our allocation. It is receipt. Our 5 items required. Receipt. And okay. Okay, so we take it off the hold and save. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. We are going to create another poll question. And please select the correct answer. Okay, thank you everyone. I will close the question. And let's take a look. What was the question? Is that in Acumatica ERP, you can reserve the stock to prevent the promise to one customer items from being shipped to another customer. Is this true or false? And of course, it is true. And everybody got that right, so that's a good thing. Thank you very much. Okay, so on page 138, step 4, there is a practice exercise, and let me show you that. That the idea is to complete it on your own so you can reinforce the learned skills. It is quite simple, just be careful. Uh, all you have to do is to follow the steps that we created or that we used, and all you have to do is to create a transfer, process the transfer order, create process the transfer receipt, and at the end of the day, we are going to process the sales order to the end. So the end result for this exercise is a sales order with the status completed and properly shipped and closed. Okay, so I will not do that for you now. So please try to do this exercise so you can see what we already worked on. It is not that complicated. Okay, let's go to next lesson. Let's go back to our lesson 13. And this is where our dropship orders come into play. So we are going to create a sales order that is dropship by a vendor, and we are going to process the order fulfillment and invoice the customer. So on these dropship orders, you will see that is um, quite similar for the process that we just work with. We, instead of creating a purchase order that will send the items directly to our warehouse, we are going to send the items from our vendor's warehouse to our customer's warehouse. I think I got ahead of that before. This is how the process is. Let me get a little better. Okay, so basically we are going to create a sales order from a customer, and this sales order cannot be fulfilled. We don't have enough quantity for that, and we are going to mark the lines as PO and mark it as dropship. Then we are going to create a dropship order. We are going to process the dropship order, receive it, and once we have the dropship order, we are going to process the sales order and release the invoice. Okay, so we're going back. Let me get this in a better size so we can continue. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is, of course, enable the feature. So now that you don't have to imagine the fields that I was talking about, you actually will be able to see them. And for that, we need to enable the drop shipments feature and enable. So now I will show you the difference. It's better to see it. We are going to create a sales order. for our customer. Set the date first, 12/15, and we are going to send these items to customer on the 16th from our vendor. So we create the sales order, we select what are we going to sell. Is a laptop at 1400, leather case, and one. Okay, take it off the hold and save. Oops, sorry about that. Warehouse North and Warehouse North. And save. Okay, so remember we have our warning that we don't have enough quantity for this order. So now what we are going to do is to mark for PO here, and instead of selecting purchase to order, we are going to select dropship. And we are going to save the order as open. Okay, on this case, let me check on something first, because we want to actually send what we do have, which is the leather case, to our customer. So we are going to create a shipment for those leather cases. Okay, and we are going to confirm the shipment. And the shipment is ready. Okay, let's go back to our sales order and let's see what happened. We have a sales order with a status back order. That is why, and that is because we have a pending line to be completed, and we already sent the leather cases that we actually had. So now, once we do that, let's create the dropship order. So exactly the same as our previous example, we go to action and hold on. Sorry about that. We have to do through the create purchase orders screen directly. The feature is not, the action is not enabled because it is on back order, so we have to go directly to the create purchase orders screen. Okay, so as you can see, we have it here, and all we have to do is to ask our vendor to fulfill this order, and we are going to process. The system creates a dropship type purchase order which basically has our 12-inch laptop, and it is related to our sales order. So let me show you. How it is linked here, which is exactly the same as it was on purchase order, a regular purchase order. Okay, and we can see we save, take it off the hold, save the purchase order, and now okay, there is something that we need to take a look. We are going to update our sales order, and we are going to update our purchase order, because our customer decided to change the original sales order. So on, let me say, 147, page 147, on the step 3, we are going to modify the dropship order and the sales order. Okay, so all we have to do is add another battery, sorry. So in order to do that, we put it on hold. This will enable our purchase order, and now we can add a new line, which is a new battery for our north warehouse, and 155. We take it off the hold and we open. We save it as open. Now let's go back to our sales order to update that line, and we are going to add it here as the battery from our warehouse north, and is 1, and we are going to mark it as PO and dropship. Once we do that, we can save, and let's link it. Verify, we have the PO source is dropship, and the warehouse is north. We can select either one, and also we can select the vendor. In order, these are filters in order to find the purchase order that we want to link. So all we have to do is select it, and now we can save. Okay, so basically the example was that we created a sales order for 2 items. One item we do have it on our warehouse, the other one we don't, and so we process a shipment to send the items to our customer, and then we process a purchase order, dropship, to send the other items to our customer directly from the vendor. And also we linked a new item which we decided to add after creating the original sales order to the dropship PO that we just created. So there were some updates from the original requirement. We already did that, and now we are going to process the dropship. Okay. So all we have to do now is to go to the purchase order, which is already confirmed by the customer that it was received from the vendor. So all we have to do now is to create the receipt. We are going to change the date to the 16th. Take it off the hold, save, and release the receipt. Once we did that, we can take a look at the inventory transaction. That will not work because there is no transaction created from our warehouse. Okay, this is directly gone to our customer from the vendor. And now all we have to do is to create the bill from the vendor for these items. And we can just go ahead and release it. And once everything is done, now we can go back to our sales order and invoice the customer. Sales order screen. We're going to open the sales order. As you can see, the order is completed. All the items are marked as completed. As you can see, the first and the third line marked for dropship. You can see the allocations. You remove here. It's not active now. It is related to the dropship. Let me get this field a little bit bigger so you can see the dropship related. Same thing will happen on the first line. Okay. So now everything is marked as completed, everything is ready, and the next steps is basically just create the invoice for these items. So we click on Actions, Prepare Invoice. And just Actions, Release. And all we have to do is to review the details of the GL. So this is for our customer, our sales accounts, and if you go back to document details, you see that we have two different shipments. One was for our available leather cases, which actually did create a invoice transaction, and we can take a look at our other shipment, which will send you back to our purchase receipt. Okay, so this is also when you are working with the purchase orders and dropship orders, you will see that the shipment related to the invoice is actually a receipt, a purchase receipt, which is the one that is linked. So please take this in consideration when you are reviewing. Do not expect to see shipment. You will actually see a receipt. Okay? So we are good there. And we have to go to the last question of the day. Okay, so I will launch and I will give you a couple of minutes. Okay, I will close the question now. Thank you very much for every, for answering. And let's take a look at the question is, for what type of sales orders the system allocate the item quantities once a sales order is saved, even with the on hold status? And the correct type is for the SA type. Okay, the sales order type will not ever allocate automatically any item. If you need to allocate an item for a sales order, you have to do it manually through the allocations bot. Okay. Okay, so for lesson 14, movement classes, let me go back to the presentation, which is we are going to start with part 4, inventory ranking. On the inventory ranking, we have methods, which one is ABC codes, and the other one are movement classes. and the usage is physical inventory and demand forecast and replenishment planning. So on the ABC codes, we are going to define some ABC codes on the system, and we are going to update ABC codes for our stock items and item warehouse details, and we are going to mass process the update for these items on using the screen. Okay, so the rule is that 80% of the effect is generated by 20% of the cost. The criteria value equals item cost value at the end of a financial period. This is warehouse specific, and the ratio percent equals the item stock value and the total stock value. Let me get more into detail with that. But before going into that, hold on a second. I'm getting ahead of this. In order to work with the next lesson, we need to import, restore, and a snapshot for this part. So I will work on this now, so you can follow. I will create a new company using system companies. I will add one that is called online part 4. Same name over here. And we are going to save the company. It will create a company. And once this is done, we are going to import the snapshot that was provided on our training material, which is called a snapshot part 4. Open the snapshot, uncheck the custom columns, upload, and you will see that we have a new snapshot on our company, and all you have to do is to restore this snapshot on the recently created company. So just confirm the destination and click OK. It's a pretty small snapshot, and this process shouldn't take that long. Okay, so now on company and the new company, the part 4, the snapshot is already restored, and all we have to do now is to sign out and log in to online part 4, which is the new company, and sign in. Okay, so this is basically what we need to start working with the classes. This snapshot has preloaded settings, so we can see and we can work faster the examples that are provided on the on the next steps of the training material. Okay, so I will stop the session today now. We are going to start tomorrow with page 153 and lesson 14. Okay, thank you very much everybody for your time. I will be here for 10 minutes more, so if you have questions or need something, just let me know. Thank you.